I'm always delighted to be with Saul Anuzis, who's been such a leader in the conservative movement and the Republican Party.
Welcome to the Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for June 17th, 2022. A new op-ed from Saul Anuzis states, "Drug importation remains as bad an idea as ever." Congress could soon greenlight the importation of cheaper prescription drugs from Canada, but the FDA has historically warned against the practice. Regulators know that importation is a disaster waiting to happen for American patients, especially vulnerable seniors. The COVID-19 pandemic has provided counterfeiters with more opportunities to flood the market with dangerous products. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recently reported that up to 60% of KN95 masks in the United States are counterfeit. Giving importation the thumbs up now would further embolden these criminals and make Americans suffer the consequences. Lawmakers are presumably aware of these dangers, but they appear set to proceed with importation talks anyway to score cheap political points. Make no mistake, we're in need of a national conversation about prescription drug affordability, but gambling on patients' lives shouldn't be part of the discussion. We would strongly encourage you to read the full op-ed by clicking on the link in the description below. An article from Politico reports, "Back burner no more. Dems set Manchin talks on party line bill to simmer." After appearing stalled out for months, Chuck Schumer and Joe Manchin have taken significant steps behind the scenes to cobble together another bill on climate and tax reform. Senate Democrats are preparing for possible summer action on their still elusive climate, tax reform, and prescription drugs bill, grinding behind the scenes on a new version during high-profile gun safety talks. The 60 Plus Association has produced a new television commercial asking Senator Joe Manchin a simple question: which Joe are you?
Here's the tale of two Joes. The first Joe did the right thing for West Virginia by standing up and blocking Biden and Pelosi's liberal agenda. The second Joe wasn't so heroic. This Joe cracked under pressure. Now he's supporting Biden's devastating plan to strip $300 billion from Medicare, leaving West Virginia seniors with even fewer treatments and cures. Now the question for Joe Manchin is simple. Which Joe are you? This message is brought to you by the 60 Plus Association, the American Association of Senior Citizens.
Senator Schumer said, quote, "Our talks with Manchin are continuing," while the West Virginian would only say the discussions are, quote, "very respectful." Schumer and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi also met with Biden on Wednesday, and afterward Pelosi said of the Democrats' party line spending bill, quote, "It's alive, I'll just say that." And finally, The Hill reports, Democrats face congressional rout amid historically terrible headwinds. Midterm election years are almost never good for a president's party. Even before the calamitous events of the past 10 months, Democrats knew the first midterm election of President Biden's tenure in office would be a challenge. A new study compiled by Gallup, comparing widely used barometers of midterm attitudes since 1974, which has made the rounds widely in Democratic circles this week, underscores just how bad the atmosphere has become. President Biden's approval rating stands at an average of just 41% in Gallup surveys. Just 18% of Americans approve of the job Congress is doing, and only 16% of Americans are satisfied with the direction of the country. This week, we'll let President Joe Biden have the last word on high gas prices.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated. No more drilling on federal lands. No more drilling, including offshore. No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period. I guarantee you we're going to end fossil fuel.
What about, say, stopping fracking and stopping new pipeline infrastructure?
Exactly. No new fracking.
We are going to get rid of fossil fuels.
I've argued against any more oil drilling or gas drilling on federal lands.
No one's going to build a coal-fired plant again, and we're going to get rid of the ones we have now.
Have a transition from the oil industry, yes.
Would you be willing to sacrifice some of that growth even knowing potentially that it could displace thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of blue-collar workers in the interest of transitioning to that greener economy?
The answer is yes.
And that concludes your Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for June 17th, 2022. For more political news faster, visit saulsnews.com.